know that feeling when you look around and just realize the future we were promised? Well, it isn't really here. I mean, where are the moon colonies? Pocket nuclear fusion. We've got these incredible phones, right? Access all human knowledge.
Sure.
But we're still stuck in traffic for hours. And whenever someone brings up, real technological leaps.
It's always, oh, that silly Jetsons stuff.
Exactly, that dismissiveness. Why?
Well, I think that reaction, that dismissiveness, it's really a symptom, isn't it? A symptom of a deeper kind of cultural frustration.
Okay.
We feel like we should be further along, but we're not. And the idea of genuine, fundamental progress, it's been sort of pushed aside, relegated to cartoons.
So today, we're diving into why. What stopped the future?
That's the mission.
Yeah.
We're looking at the sources you've shared to understand these intertwined forces holding things back.
Right, two big things. First, the human factor is bureaucracy, culture slowing down big tech leaps.
And second, the, let's say, non-negotiable limits, the actual laws of physics governing everything.
It's such a contrast when you look back, isn't it? Someone around 1900 reading Jules Verne or H.G. Wells.
They imagined 1960 with rockets, submarines,
Yeah.
radio, TV.
And they largely got it. But us, recent generations, it feels, I don't know, incremental, faster chips, thinner screens.
It does. Much more incremental.
Yeah.
So why did that great technological engine kind of stall out?
Yeah, let's unpack that. Where should we start? Maybe the cultural side? The tech plateau.
Yeah.
Hashtag one. The technological plateau and the hyper real.
Okay, yeah. If you look at the major tech advances over the last, say, few decades, they haven't really been about transforming the physical world, have they?
Yeah.
We don't travel fundamentally faster. We don't build houses quicker. We don't have that cheap, clean energy everywhere.
No, it's been mostly information tech.
Overwhelmingly, information technologies. And these are largely, well, technologies of simulation.
Ah, simulation. So this connects to those philosophical ideas, like Baudrillard's hyperreal, where the imitation becomes better, more real than the original.
Precisely. That concept of the hyperreal, creating imitations that are, in a way, more compelling or flawless than actual reality.
It makes a strange kind of sense.
Think about it. Why pour billions into building a messy, imperfect real city when you can render a perfect digital one for, a fraction of the cost?
We get these incredibly complex simulated worlds.
While our actual bridges and roads are crumbling? Yeah. This preference for the clean digital copy over the difficult physical reality, that's the hyperreal in action.
And our sources argue this ties into that postmodern sensibility,
Right.
that feeling that everything's just fragments, irony, repetition.
It's argued that this sensibility is basically a way to cope. It's dressing up what is, at its core, bitter disappointment.
Disappointment about what?
About the lack of real breakthroughs. I mean, if we were genuinely vacationing on Mars, or if we'd solved global hunger with synthesized food,
We wouldn't be talking about irony and pastiche.
exactly, we wouldn't be dwelling on fragmentation. We'd be looking outward, building the new thing. The focus would be completely different.
It reminds me of those super optimistic theories from the 70s, the Marxist ones predicting a third technological revolution.
Oh yeah, the end of work scenarios.
Right.
Robots, cybernetic factories. Everyone becomes a designer with tons of leisure time.
The computer was meant to liberate us.
But what actually happened, well, it was almost the opposite. Computers weren't primarily used to free the worker.
They were used for control.
Often, yes. For surveillance, for work discipline, for social control. Instead of robots taking over manufacturing, you had globalization shifting manual assembly lines.
Often to poorer countries, using labor displaced from farms.
Right. So the revolution didn't automate the factory floor so much as it reorganized control, often through software, in offices, and globally distributed supply chains.
So not only did the utopia not arrive, but the tech itself was kind of deployed to reinforce existing structures, making work arguably even more regimented.
In many ways, yes. The big physical productive transformation just didn't happen as predicted. Hashtag tag 2. The bureaucratic blockade on Blue Sky's research.
Okay, so why didn't that explosion happen? Let's talk about the research side, the funding.
Right. This is crucial. If you look at the structure of research funding, you see a really significant clue.
How so? Funding has gone up overall, hasn't it?
Dramatically, yes. Overall R&D funding, especially since the 70s, is way up. And the corporate sector now funds, I think, about twice what the government does.
So more money. Shouldn't that mean more innovation?
You'd think so. But here's the catch. The proportion of that money going into basic research, curiosity-driven blue skies, stuff, that proportion has shrunk significantly.
Wait, hang on. If the total pot is bigger, why does the proportion for basic research matter so much? Doesn't corporate R&D still innovate?
It does, but it innovates differently. Corporate R&D is usually focused on innovation that can be monetized relatively quickly. Applied research, near-term goals, defensible IP. Basic research is, well, it's undirected. It's exploration. It might take 20 years, might lead nowhere. Or it might lead to something utterly transformative, like, say, the transistor or the laser, things you couldn't have predicted or planned for.
And corporations are less likely to fund that kind of open-ended stuff.
Generally, yes. They prefer optimizing margins, improving existing products, rather than searching for entirely new continents, metaphorically speaking.
And this hits universities hard, right? Since they were traditionally the home of basic research.
Exactly. And the sources point out some pretty shocking data here. In some universities, the number of administrators, well, it actually exceeds the number of faculty.
Wow. More administrators than professors.
It's happened. And that administrative expansion isn't free. It means faculty members end up spending huge chunks of their time not on research, but on admin tasks.
Grant writing, committee meetings, performance reviews.
All that stuff. The sources suggest they might spend as much time on admin, teaching, and service combined as they do on actual research itself.
It's like that irony with office software, isn't it?
How do you mean?
Well, we get all these systems, grant management software, HR platforms, digital time tracking, all sold as ways to streamline and save time.
Right. Efficiency tools.
But everyone just seems to spend more time feeding the beast, filling out the forms, managing the software, less time doing the actual core job.
That's a perfect analogy. It's a paradox. And in research funding, the system creates these perverse incentives.
Perverse how?
Well, think about who judges a research proposal. Often, it's competitors or panels of, let's say, cautious peers.
Okay.
So as a researcher, you're forced to anticipate every possible criticism. You have to play defense. You need to make your proposal look safe, incremental, guaranteed to produce some result within the funding cycle.
Which means a truly original, high-risk idea.
Is the kiss of death. If it's revolutionary, it's inherently hard to defend, hard to quantify its short-term outcomes. It looks risky.
So the safest bet is just tweaking existing stuff.
Incremental research, confirming what we think we know, optimizing current processes. The system itself, the bureaucracy, actively filters out the potentially revolutionary ideas.
It's like we've built this giant complex machine specifically designed to prevent breakthroughs.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
This current form of capitalism, especially within large, often semi-monopolistic organizations, relies heavily on internal marketing, on managing perceptions, on predictable, measurable progress. It's just not structured to foster unpredictable, original leaps.
So it's less a lack of ideas, more an administrative blockade.
That's a big part of the human-made problem, yes.
Okay, so we've got the human blocks bureaucracy, culture shifting towards simulation. But now, the really big one, physics.
Right. Now we hit the ultimate limit, the one you can't reform away with better management. We have to talk about the laws of physics, specifically the entropy law.
Okay, shifting gears from sociology to thermodynamics.
Exactly. And the entropy law is fundamental. It dictates that all physical processes, well, they only go one way. They're irreversible.
Yeah.
Everything tends towards disorder, towards randomness.
Like heat only flowing from hot to cold.
Precisely. And critically for us, the law dictates that the entire economic process is an irrevocable transformation. We take low entropy, that's usable energy, concentrated resources, and we transform it into high entropy.
Waste. Dispersed energy. Stuff we can't use again.
Exactly. Waste heat, pollution, scattered materials, it's a one-way street.
Early economics often used models from mechanics, right? Where things seem reversible, like a pendulum.
Yes, those neat closed systems. But thermodynamics, dealing with heat and energy transformation, it's fundamentally about irreversible, unidirectional processes.
And that's much closer to how the real world works.
It's the nearest to man's skin, as one of our sources puts it. Think about it simply. A tank full of gas, or a neat pile of lumber, that's low entropy, concentrated potential, usable. Burn the gas, use the lumber to build something that eventually decays. That energy is dispersed, those materials are scattered, that's high entropy. The potential is used up, gone.
You can't unburn the gas loom.
You cannot. And this leads to a core economic truth, one often overlooked. Natural resources must be part of economic value. Why? Because the entire economic process is the consumption of low entropy. We are literally consuming the order and usable energy of the planet.
And, the sources also say life itself accelerates this.
Yes, the presence of life, especially complex life like ours, actually causes the entropy of the overall system to increase faster than it would otherwise. We are accelerators of this process.
We can't create matter or energy, right? We just rearrange it.
That's the crux of it. We can't make something from nothing. The only way humans consciously act on the material world is by, well, fundamentally pushing and pulling, rearranging the low entropy that's already available,
Taking concentrated resources.
transforming them, using energy in the process, and inevitably ending up with less overall usable energy and more dispersed waste for the next cycle.
It's always drawing down the account.
Always drawing down the capital account. It's an irrevocable consumption. Hashtag for the race against the resource clock.
Okay, so if the economy is consuming low entropy, this leads us to the resources themselves. And there's a huge asymmetry here, isn't
The
there?
critical asymmetry. We basically have two primary sources of the low entropy we need.
Source one.
The sun. The flow of solar radiation. It's vast, it's relatively continuous, it's an income source, you could say.
Okay, sun's flow, source two.
The stock.
Yeah.
A finite stock of mineral resources locked in the Earth's crust. Fossil fuels, metals, minerals. This is limited, exhaustible. It's our capital.
Flow versus stock, income versus capital, and then comes that absolutely staggering fact from the sources.
Which one?
The entire stock of natural resources is not worth more than a few days of sunlight.
Ah, yes. That comparison, it really puts our entire industrial civilization into perspective, doesn't it?
It's mind-blowing. All the coal, oil, gas, minerals, equivalent to just a few days of solar energy hitting the planet.
It highlights the sheer scale of the solar flow versus the limitations of our terrestrial stock. And yet, historically, what has technological progress largely meant?
We've shifted away from the flow.
Towards the stock, we moved from relying primarily on the abundant solar source, think about agriculture powered by sunlight, draft animals fed by crops, using wood for fuel and building,
Right, all driven by the sun, ultimately.
to relying increasingly on the less abundant, finite mineral stock, coal, then oil and gas.
The mechanization of agriculture is a key example, right?
Perfect example. We replace draft animals, which are fed by the solar flow via crops,
With tractors and combines.
which are fed by mineral stocks, oil, and the materials they're built from. We swapped a sustainable income for drawing down our limited capital.
And this means we're using up our dowry, as the sources call it, faster and faster.
Precisely. It inherently speeds up the decumulation of mankind's one-time inheritance of resources.
So connecting this back, the very things we associate with progress and prosperity, industrialization, population growth, technology fueled by mineral energy.
They're simultaneously accelerating the depletion of the resource base that makes it all possible.
We're essentially running faster and faster towards, well, the end of the easily accessible capital.
It creates a profound tension. Our methods for achieving prosperity are also the methods speeding up the exhaustion of our planetary savings account. We're accelerating toward the potential cliff. Hashtag outro.
Okay, so wrapping this up, we've seen the utopian future kind of blocked from two sides.
On one side, the human institutional forces, the bureaucracy, stifling real innovation, the cultural shift towards simulation over substance.
And on the other, the hard, unavoidable limits of physics, the entropy law, driving the irreversible consumption of resources.
That's the framework, the human systems interacting with the physical realities.
And there's one final point in the sources that really ties this back to why building a better society is so hard. It's about the nature of our concepts.
Yes. The distinction between different kinds of concepts. Things like democracy or justice, or even just want.
These aren't like scientific measurements, are they?
No, they're described as dialectical, which means they're complex, they overlap, their boundaries are fuzzy, contourless. They resist being pinned down by simple logic or numbers.
Unlike things that are arithmomorphic, is that the term?
Yes, arithmomorphic. Concepts that could be reduced to discrete numbers. Equations, logical steps, like calculations in physics or accounting.
And our current systems, the bureaucracies, the funding models, the obsession with optimization, they love arithmomorphic thinking, right?
Absolutely. Measure the input, measure the output, optimize the number. It's quantifiable, manageable, predictable, or seems to be.
But when you try to apply that rigid number-crunching approach to something messy and dialectical like justice or well-being,
It often fails spectacularly. You end up with misleading models, empty metrics. It fundamentally misunderstands the nature of the thing you're trying to grasp.
which hinders our ability to actually make good decisions about society.
Exactly. We're trying to navigate complex human realities using tools really designed for Simpler, quantifiable systems, like trying to measure happiness with a ruler.
Okay, so that leads us to a final provocative thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on.
Go for it.
If our struggle to build that better, more sustainable, more just future stems partly from this mismatch, trying to force complex dialectical human values like justice or democracy into simple arithmomorphic boxes, does real progress actually require a shift?
A shift away from just optimizing the tech, the numbers.
Yeah, a shift away from purely optimizing technology and maybe back towards embracing, or at least better understanding, the inherently unpredictable, complex, messy, dialectical nature of human society itself.